So, what we're going to be doing today is talking about this ArrayList class. The ArrayList class, what is it, why do we need it, and what's its advantage? So that's the topic for today. I mean, this ArrayList comes with the chapter related to generics. So generics is some kind of general way to design a class that will work with different data types. Class working with different data types. And let me talk about that. And one example of those generics is the ArrayList. So we're going to be in this week, we're going to be talking about this ArrayList. Next week, inshallah, we're going to talk about how can we create our own classes that can be working with different data types. And this is something we're going to talk next week, inshallah. But for this week, let's talk about those generics. And so let me just skip something. Basically, this ArrayList is a kind of a class that works like arrays. ArrayList, it's a class that works like arrays, but it has some kind of difference. So the things that we have is that our arrays, once we define them, if I declare an array of 10, and then after all I would like to add more than 10, what should I do? If you'd like to work with an array and then realize that what you set up as the number, the size, is not enough for what you would like to use, then you would like to increase that size, for example. So what would you do? This is my array, a equal new array, new int, and 10. Now I have put whatever, I put some values in it, but then I realized, oh no, you know what, I did some processing, there was something there, I did something, but then here I want my array to be not of 10 but of 15. What can I do? What should I do? No, there's not. Well, there might be, but I don't want to. If you don't know, you want to do it manually, what should you do? Yes. Use ArrayList. Well, if you don't know ArrayList, you haven't heard about it, what would you do without using ArrayList? Yes. Yes, that would be a solution. I can create int b, which is the size that I want now. I want it to be, for example, 20, and then what I need to do is to copy whatever was in A in B, and then I can have a bigger array. So that's what I do, right? So how can I do that? What's the code for doing that? How can I copy what's in A, copy it in B? We're going to use a for loop. For up to 10, in this case it works for us 10, but a.length might be a better option. And then array b b of I, a of I. Really? Is this going to work? Yes. Well, let's talk about this. Is this working? Are you sure? So I becomes, at the beginning is 0, and then it's 1, 2, 3, up to 9, and it gets it. So it takes array of 0 and put it in B of 0, array of 1, put it in B of 1, array of 2 in B of 2. That's what we want.
Yes. That you mean you got index inside index.
Index inside index? What do you mean index inside of index? I take what's the value of the index I put it, the value of that array of I put it in B. Okay, that's a good question. That's B, the size of B is 20. So now this is my A. It has 1, 2, 3, etc. This is 10. From 0 to 9. This is my A. Now I defined B from 0 to, so 1, 2, 3 until 19. So this is 0, this is 1, etc. 2. So now array of I, put it in B of I. So what happens? I'm going to start from here until here. What's in here? Put it in B. What's in here? Put it in B. And I'm going to do it until 9, which probably is going to be somewhere here, for example. So whatever is in here, I'm going to put it here. What about the rest? Well, it's empty because I did not use them yet. But what I wanted to do is just to increase my array, and this way I increase my array. Now your idea. We create another class? Inner class? For what reason the inner class? Okay, I'm just going to go with it. The inner class is inside the, this class, right? So it's going to be here. Just give me the idea, let me finish it, right? So I'm just going to finish it right away. Because we don't really need it. If we need an inner class, we need to do something that is required by the outer class. So, and then we need some kind of, a lot of things complicated, maybe some variables and methods that need to be used by this class here. Then I'm going to define inner class just because it will help the class, the outer class, to do its job. But I don't need, but it depends on what you're going to be doing in it. If you don't know what to put in an inner class, don't put in it, don't create one. Just you work with it without, and then when you need it, then you create it. But here I don't think we need that thing. But I just wanted you to realize that if I'm in a situation when I declared an array of a specific size, and then I would like to increase it, I'll have to do something like this. I need to manage these kind of things. So the array list actually saves me this thing. The array list is some kind of an array that actually grows just as you put values in it. You put more values, it will grow. What's the size? Well, it depends on how many values you put in them. So you declare the array list, and then you can just keep putting values. You put values. Now you reached 20, fine, that's okay. You want to add more? No problem. Just keep adding values, and it's going to increase to the size that is needed. Well, basically this thing is done with us, is done for us automatically in the array list. While here we have to do it manually ourselves. Every time I want to grow, well, I have to do it manually. So shrinking is not a big problem. But again, I need to do again the same thing. If I shrink it, I need to create a new one with this new size and then copy what was the old in the new and things like that. So you know how to shrink it, right? I'm probably assuming that you know. Imagine now I said, oh no, you know what, B should not be 10. I'll just need 5. The other 5s, I don't need them. What should I do? Should put what? BI equal? AI equal B, but B I just declared that it's empty. This one has something, the A has the values. And from the values, actually, what I would like to do is that I would like to slash some of the, now it's quite the opposite. Let me just, okay, this is, hold on. This is my A, and it has, we said 10 until, etc., 10. This is 9 and 0. Now I'd like my B to be only half the size, up to 4, from 0, 1, etc. So if I just take what's in B and put it in A, well, A is the ones that have the value, B the one that doesn't have the value. So I need to put actually the opposite. I need to put this here until I put them all until this index 4. So this is index 4, for example. I need to stop here. What about the rest? I don't care about the rest, so I just keep these ones. So what should I do then? Should I keep a dot length? I should repeat until this 4, which is b dot length. So instead of a dot length, I'm going to do in order for me to be able to shrink, this is what I do. So anyways, I'm sure that I have confused some of you, right? Do you want to lift the confusion or move ahead? Move ahead. This is my array. Let me put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So it has 10 values. Now this new b, I need to put these ones in my new b, right? So what should I do? This is right, but here what's the maximum? What's the maximum that I need to use? The maximum should be 4, so I should be less than 5. This 5 is what? Is the size of b, not a. Before, when I was growing, I needed to get all the values, so I'm going to get all the values. Now I just would like to have enough values to fill b. So b is less than a, so I'm going just to use here. If I would like to increase, and b now is, for example, 15, I cannot stop at 5 because I'm just going to take this. I want to take the rest and then add something else. So then if this is becoming my maximum, I cannot put 15 here because there's no a of 11. There's no a of 10, etc. So this is going to be a problem because a is up to from 0 to 9. Let me put it from 0 to 9, this just to put the values matching the indices. So this is I of the index 0, but the value is 0 as well. So the same value is there. Now if I put something like this is not going to work for one reason. What's the maximum value here? I is going to be 14. Which means b of 14 is going to have something. b of 14, I have it because this is the last thing. I have b of 14. But in a, do I have index 14? Because the maximum is 10. So then I have a problem. So which means the maximum here should be, when I'm growing, when I'm coming from a smaller to a bigger one, I need to use the smaller size, which is in this case 10. When I'm shrinking, I need to, the smaller size is this one again, not this one. So I need to take the smaller size. So because if I leave it like this, 10, b, does it have 9? No. So that's not, I cannot use 10. I will use down. The maximum is here. So that's why it changes depending if I'm growing or shrinking, which basically just takes the minimum of these two, and then this is what I'm using. But now this is something I have to do manually. And the advantage of the ArrayList is that it does it for us. So that's what it says. Unlike arrays, which have a fixed length once they're created, ArrayList is an object that can grow and shrink as the program runs. And that's the advantage of this ArrayList. So it's like an array, but with this useful feature that we don't need to care about the size. Just put something in and that's it. Yes? What do you mean? In the first array, you mean this one?
The other array is 15.
Yes. Okay.
What is going to put in the last 40?
Well, maybe something I'm going to ask the user to give me 5 more. I ask the user to give me 10 numbers, for example here, and then I'd like to know after these 10 numbers I want to ask for 5 more, and I didn't put them in the beginning here. So how can I do that? I need to grow this array. So now, in order for me to grow the array, I need to do something like this to grow the array, and then next time I'm going to save it in B. b of 10, for example, let's put something in, and b11. Now I'm just typing it myself, but I can ask the user to give me those values.
So this is how ArrayList works.
The ArrayList, it just doesn't work like this. The ArrayList, if I'd like to use it, I'm just going to declare it and then keep adding. But if I'd like to use it, it works differently from the array. Because in array, if I'd like to add something or save something inside of it, I need to put something like I did here, b of something with the brackets and the index, and put something inside of it. The
keyword ArrayList.
Yeah, but this is the data type. Yes, the data type of the class is the array list that says this is an array, and the way I'm going to use it is different from the array. And let me show you how you use that array list. Now imagine I'd like to have an array list, so I'm going to call it array list and then call it A. But here, if I'd like just to do this, first of all, this is not going to work because I need to import it. Where does it come from? java.util.ArrayList. So now this is where this comes from. Okay, now this array list is, well, almost. This array list is an array. Array of what? Int? Double? I did not mention it. If I don't mention it, it's going to be an array of objects in general. The class object, because everything inherits from object in Java. If I would like to have something else, I would just like to have a string, for example, a text. Then check this. And this is something new. I'm saying I would like an array list with strings, that works with strings. So I'm going to add strings, I'm going to retrieve strings, and everything that's going inside is a string. Or if I want to have something like int, I can make int, but oh, it doesn't accept int. Why? Let's read the error message. An expected type. It requires reference and it found int. What this is all about.
Shouldn't we write integer?
Exactly, that's the point. Int is a primitive data type, right? But this is going to require an object, something that inherits from object. Int does not inherit from object, it's just a primitive data type. If I'd like to have an integer, I need to put this wrapped classes, which are these integer, which is like a class for int. Int is the primitive data type. Integer is the class for that int data type. So integer is like the object version of the int. And same thing, there's this double. And you remember those because this double dot parse int, the parse double, or value of, we're using methods from those classes to be able to convert, for example, from text to these data types. So now this is the disadvantage of this array list. It cannot work with primitive data types. While arrays, that as we know them, just int is going to work. And it works also with class data type. You can create a string, an array of string, no problems. But this array list, it requires a reference, which is a class. It doesn't require a primitive data type. So if I'd like it to be an int, I can just put integer, and this is how it works. Okay, now this A, I declared it. Did I initialize it? No, I need to initialize it. This is a class, though, so it means I need to use new. And this is how it works. Actually, this is, if you put an integer array, you can put integer, you have to put integer here. Actually, you have to, this is something that this is optional. So if you don't put it, that's why you have this warning here. I mean, this is like a suggestion. This is redundant. You don't really need that one. It says you can just remove this and it's going to work same way. Actually, NetBeans, when it suggests, it suggests this one, but if you click on it, it just tells you, just less than, greater than, and nothing inside, which means whatever is in here, it's going to be here. And then it gives you some options, because ArrayList is a class, and this class, this is the class ArrayList, and it has a lot of these things, so that's nice. You see, this is extending something and implementing a lot of things, and it's a lot of fun. We're going to go into some of these inshallah next week when we're going to be talking about generics. But the idea is that it's a class that has 3 constructors. One that takes no argument, one don't take some kind of a collection of integer, and the other one is taking an int. What is this all about? We don't care for now. Let's just choose this one, and we're going to be talking about what's the difference between these different constructors. But here what we're saying is that just initialize the new array list. This is how I can use it. Now I'd like to put something inside of it. A dot add. You see that there's 2 adds. Add here just to give it a number, or add, give it 2 numbers. The one is the int, the other one is the value. So we're going to talk about it, but let's just talk about this one, this add here. So now if I put something like this, a dot add, so I'm just adding values, which means it keeps adding. Do I know what's the size of this? How many elements? Did I care about saying, oh, you have to design to define an array of this size, and then I need to make sure that I don't exceed that size? No, I don't need to care with that. Just keep adding things, and if I'd like to get something, display something, a dot get. And you get what? You ask about the index. Get 0 is going to give me this one. Get 1 is going to give me the second one. What if I put get 2 or get 3? There's no index 3. I'm going to get an exception.
There's no size.
Actually, internally there is a size. The array list, how it works internally. When you declare it this way, it initializes an array of 10. And it keeps adding it, keeps adding, keeps adding. If you add and then you only have 10 full, and then you want to add more, it's going to do the operation that we did ourselves. Create a new array, make the big size, maybe 20, double the size, and then copy the old one in the new one, and then take the new value that you just wanted to add in that new array, and keep doing this thing. So we don't have to care about the size. The class itself cares about it. Every time I add, it just goes and keep increasing whatever it's required. And that's the purpose of this array list. Just to help us deal with the fact that just keep increasing as long, I just focus on putting the values, and then the class makes sure that I have enough space for those. And I can add values, I can get values, and I can know what's the size of those, how many elements do I have. And this is called size. So here, for example, if I display this thing, what am I expecting? I should see 2. Why is it complaining? I don't know. So 2 because I have only 2 elements. And just keep adding something. I don't know how many. And it's going to count for me.
If I want to ask the program to give me the first index, I will call him to get 0 or get 1?
No, get 0. Same thing as an array. The indexes start from 0. So if I'd like to get the first one, I just, let me get the first one, a dot get and put 0. So a got 0 should give me 12, right? So I'm going to see this 8 and then 12. Now I say I have 8, which means 0 to 7. If I ask about get 8, index out of bound exception. So there's no 8. There's up to 7 because I put 7 5. So it works like an array. It raises exception if you ask something that you should not be asking, but it just prevents you from dealing with, it just allows you to deal with this growing and shrinking. Yes.
The add method takes
The add? Well, because this is what they call this boxing. If you give it a primitive, it's going to be sent and covered into the corresponding class data type. I'm sending a primitive 12, and this is going to be converted to the class data type 12. Actually, when I'm doing something like this, what happens is that as if I'm doing new integer with 12. So this is actually what is going to be internally done, and it's telling me unnecessary boxing. So this is, you don't need to do it because it's done automatically. So if you just remove it just keeps the value. So it does this boxing for you. This boxing, unboxing, this is what it's called, to convert from the primitive to the corresponding class data type. Yes?
How can we use the loop to fill it out?
The same way we use okay, yeah, that's a good point. Let me display the array. If I'd like to display the array, the same way I'm going to do for int, but now I don't have a.length, but I have size. And I'm going to do the same thing now, display this a.get and I. So now it's going to display one by one from 0 to less than the size. And this is going to do the same way. So it doesn't work differently than an array. It's like an array, but with the simplicity of growing and shrinking.
Okay, for now, what's the difference
Between what?
the array and the array list?
You don't have to care about the size. I don't have to specify the size at the beginning.
Yes.
It just keep putting the values, and then it's going to grow and shrink based on what I need.
When you go to the size, it will increase.
Always increase, yes. Internally, how it works, it starts with 10. And then now I'm adding 8. I didn't reach more than 10. So it just works with what I have. If I have more, if I keep adding some, for example, something like this, now what's the size is, this is 10, 11, 12, 13, so it will add now more. So it will grow the 10, and I'm not going to see any of that. I just work with it the same way as it was already the size that I wanted.
So this is the advantage of it.
That's the advantage. Yes.
How do we remove it?
I'm going to talk about it. Yes.
When we use ArrayList, we have more options.
Yes. It's more flexibility. You have more flexibility. Yes.
The first two indexes was different.
What do you mean? The first two indexes.
Like,
This one?
yes.
No, because I'm displaying the size first. So this is the size. Let me make it better. Size. This is the size, and then the array, the content, and this is what's inside of the array. So now you're going to see the size is 14, and then the content is the rest.
So how can we use it to the earlier case?
What do you mean earlier case?
That we have simple
Shrinking? Well, I need to remove to shrink it. When you shrink, you throw away some values.
when we have a limited array and we want
To grow, well, this is what I was trying to show. Here, by default, it starts with 10. So this is how many values here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When I'm adding this, internally it was 10, but it's going to grow to, I don't know, maybe 20, probably. It just doubles, I'm guessing. Well, it keeps adding 10. I don't know exactly how the implementation works, but the purpose is that I don't have to care about it. The class was made, so I can just keep adding things as much as I need, and then it keeps growing to the size that I need. I don't need to specify a specific size because I don't know how many values the user is going to give me. An example of that is, what if I'd like to create an application that asks the user, who is the teacher, to enter all the grades, and then he gives it, it calculates the average of all these grades. So maybe for a section he has 20 students, another section he has 10. I'm going to use the same code, it will work for all sections. I don't care about how many students he has. If I don't know that, then I might, if I would like to do something with my array, I need probably to ask, how many students do you have? And then after that, I take that information, I set up the array, and then I ask him, okay, give me the values. So this thing here just gives me the opportunity not to deal with the size, just deal with the data. Give me your data, I'm going to store it. Yes?
How can I add the numbers by using for loop?
I mean, you would like to put the values inside the array with a for loop? Well, you can just do a for loop the same way we have it. And well, now with the a.size is going to be different, because a.size is going to be a problem. Now, you do a for loop when you know exactly how many times you're going to repeat. At the beginning, if I do something like this, it's going to be 10. I know, because by default, at the beginning, it's going to be 10. So I'm going to only be able to go up to 10. And actually, you know what? Not really, because the a.size at the beginning, when there's nothing, is 0. So the size is 0. So I cannot use a for loop for that. So what should I do? Well, maybe use a while.
What if I ask the user to enter how many?
Exactly. So you can use a while. We don't know how many times the user is going to. You can maybe do a do while. Give me a number unless it's -1 to stop, or something like that. And then the user keeps entering. Once he types -1, you stop, and then you keep adding something. So that's how you can make it in a loop. So now we added. What if I'd like to add in a specific place? And that's another advantage of the array list. Now, if I don't have an array list, imagine this is my array. Whatever, I'll just put in some values. What if I'd like to put something here between 32 and 6? I have to do two things. First of all, I need to grow my array and copy the old values up to the 32, and then put the new value that I would like to put in between, and then copy the rest. So again, it's more than just growing. So it's more processing. But with this array list, very easy. You can just tell it, because you remember we had the two adds. Add that just give it a number, or add give it a position and the number. Now I'm going to say, add at the first, make it the first one, and add the number 1. So now if I display my array, the first one is not going to be 12, it's going to be 1. And this is another advantage of using. It says there's a problem, cancel. Why is it a problem? Oh, here, yes. Now if I run it, the first one is 1. So you can put values in a different position, and you don't have to care about the processing of that. And you can replace. Yes.
We can add the number, we can add the position.
You can add the number, and then it's going to be at the last available position, or you can add a number at a specific position, which means you insert a number actually. Because how I know I inserted it? Look, I have removed this. I run. How many size was the size? It's 13. Now, if I put this, I'm adding a new element, but I'm not adding it at the bottom. I'm adding it at the beginning, and I have 14.
Can I make one index empty in the middle, for example?
Well, you cannot make empty unless you can, but you put this to be null probably, because this is going to be null. So the first one is, this is the null. It was the first one, and then I put another one in the first one. So that's why it became the second one. So this is your empty by putting null. So this is the add. When you'd like to add, you can have two versions. Either you add at the end, or add at a specific place. And you see that add, even this feature is quite nice, because I don't need to care about all the moving around and organization that I need to be doing in order to just insert in the middle. Because inserting in the middle is quite a heavy task. I just would like to make sure that you understand exactly. You have to appreciate this array list. So imagine I have this is my array, which has 0, 1, 2, and 3. Now I would like to insert a value here. Let's say this is 5, 2, 3, and 1. I would like to insert a value in the middle between 2 and 3. I'd like to put the number 4 here. What should I do? I should create another array with a size not of 4 but of 5. What did it say? Then I have to copy this here and stop, because I would like to put the 4, then continue the copy from the other array. So it's a lot of processing that I have to do myself, but because the ArrayList does it for me, I don't have to care about it. Just tell it, okay, put it there, it will be put there. So that's another advantage of this ArrayList. So no, let's just go back to the practical. Now what if I'd like to do changing of value? Now this thing here, this is, let's just do something so we don't get confused. I'm just going to keep this so I have the sorting. What if I'd like to change this one, change the value of this one and make it another number? What's the index of this one? 0, 1, 2. That's why I just keep adding, so it will just keep the same sequence. Now in order for me to change something, I just need to say a dot, well, there's no change, there's something called put or replace, sorry. It's replace, where is it? No, set, sorry, it was set. There's another class I'm confusing with another class. So it's set. This is the one closest to what I'm trying to do. Set, you have to mention which index and what's the new value that you would like to put. So we said which one?
2.
This 2. Would like to put which value? 3, 3, okay. So now the semicolon, and then the 0, 1, 2, just before the null, I'm going to see 3, 3 instead of 3, 2, 4. And let's see it in action. So it was changed. If I'd like to make sure that it was changed, I can display the array before and the array after. And this is before. Well, just to do something like this, array after. And I'm going to see two things. So this is before, it was 3, 2, 4, and after 3, 3. Sorry? Yeah, just you would like to display them in one line. I can just do this plus a space and I'm done. Copy the whole thing and do it again here. So it's okay, so, and just maybe I need to do something like this after the 4. So I just go back to the line after. If we put slash n inside of the loop, it's going to be the same thing, go back. So this is how to modify value in some place, which is not complicated because the array can do it as well. That's not something that is revolutionary, because in the array we were able to do that before. Just give it the index and the new value, and then that's it. But what's nice is that when you were able to insert something, that was interesting. What I'd like you to do also is to remove something. For example, remove one of these things. So a dot remove, and then you can just say remove 12. So it's going to remove. Now the remove, as you can see, it has, I don't know if you noticed, but it has just remove.
So remove all 12 for position.
Okay, just would like to see different options, and here it is. I have two options. Either I remove an object or I remove at a position. If I put 12, what I'm removing, is it the number 12?
Yes.
That means the number 12 is going to be removed? No. This one, which one? I have now to remove.
It will remove the first one after the
Okay, which one is going to be called? The one with an object or the one with the int? I sent an int, so the one with the int is going to be removed. If I'd like to remove an object, I need to do something like this now. Now integer Now if I do something like this, now which one is going to be called? Not this one, but this one. Right? So just this is how you can know which one is going to be called. So now, sorry?
What does it say, Boolean?
It returns a Boolean. Probably because we don't have, unfortunately, I don't have installed the documentation. But if I'd like to go through find what this is doing, I need to go for the documentation for this array list, and I can find it online actually. And ArrayList Java doc, something like that. And if I click on it, I'm going to see this is the different hierarchy of classes, and what it is going to, it implements these interfaces, and it extends something, abstract list, which extends also this thing, and so on. And I can see also different methods, the constructors, and let's have a look at the methods, which one we would like to remove. You see, remove, one of them remove the Boolean, the other one remove, and it gives me E. What is E? E is the data type that I chose. So if this is an array of integer, it's going to return an integer. If it's an array of string, it's going to return a string. So basically this remove, it just returns the one that returns an E. It removes the element at a specific position in the list and returns that element. It will return the element itself that it just removed. While this one removes the first occurrence of the specified element from the list, if it is present. This one, for example, if I remove this 12, which 12 is going to be removed? The first element is this one. So it's going to remove this one and not remove all of them. Let's see this. Now you can see that this one was removed and this one was changed. This one was changed before removing, that's why the sorting is.
Because you did not do it in the second one.
So let's just keep it like this so you can see it. So now what happened is that I just removed the first 12. Now if I execute it again, like two times, I'm adding, let's say, remove 12 and remove 12 again. Which means this one is going to be removed by the first one, and then this one is going to be removed. And to be able to see, maybe what I'd like to do, something like this. I print the size just before. So the size is 15. Now I remove two things, and then the size is 13. And you can see that now instead of having 6 12s, I have only 5. The first one was removed with the first one, and the other ones are removed with the other ones. So it gives me some kind of also convenience to look for a value and delete it, instead of just you have to mention the position.
In this way, that's when I use the object. And the other way, if you write just
The other way is that I need to mention what do I would like to delete, which part. Now I can say, for example, a.remove and remove a position 5. So which one is position 5? Let's find out. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one is going to be removed. And just to make it different, I can see this. So I can see the difference. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 means this one is going to be deleted.
So in this case, we have to do the integer boxing because
No. In the other one.
the remove.
In the remove with the object, I need to not do the boxing, because this is something I need to mention myself. I need to mention that this is an object, because if I don't, if I put just an integer, the other method is going to be running. Yes, because every time when you have overloading, the data type is going to decide which one is going to be called. And if I have two options, the first one that is the closest is one that's going to be executed. So in this case, the 5
for the position.
is not going to be boxed into an object. It's going to be just using the int for the position. Yes.
And the first one, this is for the first number.
The value itself. It doesn't look at the position, but just the value.
Okay, but here I have more than 12.
Yes.
Yes, it will take the first one.
Just the first one. That's why it took the first one here. And then when I deleted again, it took the first one from here. I can just check it by making some changes. I put some different variations now, but hold on, I need to. So if I remove them twice again, because the first time it's going to remove this one, and then it's going to remove this one again. So between this 24 and 102, I'm not supposed to see anything. 21 and 102, where is this? Yes, 24 and 102.
I want to remove all 12.
Or do you have to do a loop? Or maybe find how many are there and then repeat, deleting them all.
If we say remove an element that is not there,
Well, it's not going to do anything. Let's say I'm going to, let's say I'm going to remove this thing, but there's no number like this, so nothing will happen. Because it tries to find them. If it finds them, it deletes them. If it doesn't find them, it doesn't delete them. So we've saw how to add in different variations, modify, and then remove. There are other methods that are handy, like remove all or clear. This is just deleting everything. Remove all is said something, probably this is you can put some kind of a list. This collection and thing, this means you can put a list of things to remove. You would like to remove 12s and 34 and 59, all these numbers. You would like to remove them at once, so you can put them into a variable that has this kind of collection. It's like a list of things to remove, and it can remove them. There's a lot of different things. Look at this thing. There's sort. Hold on. I can also have some kind of sorting that I can do, but I need to explain how do I compare them, and then you give them how to compare them, and then you can sort them. And there's a lot of different things that I can convert them to an array, and trim to size, whatever. It's a lot of, there's a lot of different details, but these are the main ones. So now, just for fun and to practice these, I just would like to do this kind of exercise. Write a program that gets 10 real numbers from the user using an array list, and then calculate and display the total and the average of these numbers. Then ask user to enter a number and display whether the number can be found in the array list or not.
It could be two-dimensional array list or
No, in this case it's just one-dimensional. If you'd like to have two-dimensional, you have to do some extra things, and let's talk about it later, inshallah. Okay, so let's practice those, and we'll get to more things.